Hello, good evening, and good morning, and good afternoon, everybody. Interestingly, Trashidele from Italy, from the countryside of Milan. Trashidele to you as well. I hope everybody is well. I'm able to do a live streaming, so I'm quite happy. Yeah, I am speaking to you from this old church, as you can see, and I think you see the the Mother Mary. I think that's what they call, right? So the Mother Mary, I think it's up there, and this is like an old monastery, and the mindfulness, the national institution of mindfulness of Italy, they organized this master program over here. So they invited me over here to give a talk for 3 days, from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So this morning we concluded the session and the retreat and so on. So all these um, psychiatrists and psychotherapists and psychologists. So it's, they have all the different medical degrees, but on the top of that, they do a mindfulness training, to help others. So I just, try to support as much as I can. Same thing as I'm trying to help you here. And Dakima Sherpa, I want to do a meditation, so please suggest me some advice. I think the easiest meditation that you should do and try is Shamatha and Vipassana. And I think that's a good to start like that. And make sure that whatever the teaching that you're reading, make sure that is simple and not too complex, especially in the beginning. And that's the most important. It is very motivating, let's say, um, because all these people who have a degree already in the medical fields and also in the mental and emotional field, and then the way they ask the question is very accurate, and also for me to explain is uh, very easy, and also we could relate to each other in until a certain extent. Let's put it like this, you know. And then there's a certain things about the mind that you cannot explain too much about it anyway, So yeah. So I think we can start our question and answer of our normal Sunday. And I have some kind of a special announcement to make. Um, But that is also it is your choice to be there or not. It's not going to be an online event. It's going to be an actual event. So I will explain to you a little bit later because I will post the link, everything on the views on the Instagram and Facebook so that you can see and register if you like. But it's not an online gathering. It's simply a gathering that is going to happen by mid of December in London. It's about the Niguma yoga. So basically, the event is free, and yeah, I'll explain to you a little bit later about that. First, we engage Q&A to each other. So go ahead and ask your question. Okay. Uh, Joseph, why, when I do my breathing exercise on meditation, I have a heavy feeling and negative thoughts? Please help how to get rid of it. Well, the problem is that the more you try to get rid of it, the more it seems to be reappearing in your mind. So instead of saying that is negative or that is positive in your state of mind, and then when you have some sort of negativities, and then you keep your eyes and your mind to that state of the negativity and simply look at that. Do not question it, do not examine it, and then do not have a negative opinion about it, do not have a positive opinion about it. Just simply gaze and look at the very sensation of the negative emotion that you are experiencing in that very particular moment. So, as you are witnessing and having that kind of a mental attitude, and that projection of so called negative that is due to attachment, that is due to jealousy, and that tend to dissolve by itself. Then again, it will reappear again. Then it will dissolve as you use the same method. So, therefore, the most important practice you can do, as I always say to others, is that, of course, shamatha and vipassana. And the shamatha and the vipassana has to be compatible to each other, not something like now I'm doing a calm meditation, now I'm doing an analytical meditation. It cannot be separate because the calm meditation, the profound understanding about the calm meditation depends very much into how much you analyze the analytical approach, the analytical meditation. In order to have a more profound and deeper perspective about the analytical meditation, it comes down to how much calm meditation and accumulation you have done over the time. So it has to be compatible. It cannot be seen as something separate. It has to be seen as interrelated. And I think that is the most important. And the most important of all, having some sense of awareness in mind, not a judgment awareness to oneself, but rather a genuine awareness, more like a happy to do everything that you're doing, but at the same time being aware of that, So that's it. Okay, so Trashi Yanzom Saja, Saja, can you explain me? Last night I had a dream, Guru Rinpoche, a huge statue, but its a half face is like a blur. What does it meant? Um, Many dreams can mean nothing, basically. And then even it meant something so special. Uh, if you are influenced by the pride and saying that, oh, look at me, I had a very special dream, then again, the purpose of the having a good dream is lost. The purpose of having a good and genuine dream is to have a more and deeper reflection to our state of mind, and that is the meaning and the purpose of having a good dream. Then it's fulfilled its purpose. If you have so many beautiful dreams, and then the next morning you say to yourself, Oh, I had a very good dream, and I don't think other people have that. I think I'm very special, you know. If you think like that, then even it was a genuine and meaningful, even it has some sort of meaning, it becomes meaningless, you know. So it really comes down to how you perceive it upon yourself and how you analyze the pride by the conclusion of what you have witnessed in the dream on the next day. Well, is mindfulness not kind of a commercial drift in so far as a practitioner motivation is not a practice for enlightenment but for well-being? I think mindfulness is, from my understanding, is a well-being for the society, a well-being for individuals, and that's that, you know. But I think within the mindfulness, I think there's so many different organization, um, so that's that. Okay. Lisa Ragbir. How can I elevate myself into spirituality? Lisa, I think the way to elevate yourself into the spiritual path is to see the reality of the suffering as it is, without any filter, without any justification. That's number one. Okay. Number two is practice of generosity. I think is very important. Practice of generosity, which I have said in this mindfulness course for the last 3 days. What I said to them and what I'm saying to you is that practice of generosity has absolutely nothing to do with giving your money to others. Social fabric has nothing to do with the practice of generosity. The practice of generosity, the birth of the practice of generosity comes down to, visualizing the object of generosity and the existence of the place or a being that you are being generous to. So long as you keep that repetitive generosity visualization, not the actual activities, but rather generosity visualization. The more you do that, generosity visualization, not the actual activities, the more you do that, the more it creates a space in your mind to have a deeper understanding of oneself, and based upon that, seeking a spirituality and spiritual option, or being part of some sort of retreat with a different religious or spiritual organization, starts at that time. Karchon Rupa. Uh, what prayers and mantras to be recited for the departed soul? For the people and the sentient beings who are departing, or about to be depart, uh, recite the Shakyamuni mantra, sutra, and then also our Lokiteshvara, Amitabha, all these three simultaneously reciting to them, and most importantly, being genuinely dedicated to that person. That is the most important. If your mindset is like only mine, only this one, and only that one, then it doesn't work. If you say that this soul, this beautiful soul who is passing and going to pass, I dedicate all the sutra's blessing to this individual soul to benefit all the sentient being, as well as all the sentient being who have never seen or seek the Buddha's teaching. Let them be connected with these blessings of the sutras, and let them be liberated, and having that sense of genuine dedication without any expectation, without any um, sort of expectation or imagination of importance of oneself, but rather being completely detached, and that is a pure dedication. Lokesh Gurung, Namaste from London. Rinpoche. Where in London the program, when, many things. I think it's on the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, because we tried to find the hall from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we couldn't find it. So that what we found the hall is in the how do I say, in the institution place, and then they have given us that space to use, and also the event is going to be completely free, so the people who want to come and join, you only have to registered, and then you have to read the guideline. So I think it's on the 18, 19, 20. I think so. But that is in December, by the way. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3 days of Niguma yoga. And you might have to consider checking out what kind of a carpet. Yeah, because I don't use this Niguma yoga to make any sort of income for myself. I don't use that kind of a promotion or advertisement and any of that. If you want to come, you come. If you cannot come, you cannot come. It's very simple. And then you can, but you should definitely join on the first day and the second day. The third day is, on Monday is more like refining it and practicing together. But the Saturday and Sunday is the most important. It will be from morning 9 o'clock until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So there's some certain diet that you have to be aware of, so that you are not really intoxicated, a few days before or anything. So trying to be healthy as much as possible. Like an example, minimizing the caffeine intake, minimizing the meat intake, minimizing the alcohol intake, and so on. So minimizing all of these, and then when we do the Niguma yoga, and then you can feel the bond and the connection between the body and the mind, because that's the purpose that why I try to do this Niguma yoga for free for everybody, because so that people can experience in the connection to oneself, and more independent to themselves and genuine, because the Niguma herself, she, gave this teaching, and she said, it has to be kept private for the seventh generation, and after the seventh generation, it can be kept public. It can be given to the public, So yeah, so therefore you are welcome to join, and so on. Okay. Namaste. I am from Nepal. I live in Switzerland. How to get free mind with your busy life, I think. Simply work and hating the mind to do. I think like I said, you can practice Shamatha and Vipassana, and that is a public information, that is a public teaching. You can see it from anywhere, everywhere. I think just try to do that calm meditation and analytical meditation combined together. It's very important. Don't try to go into the idea, oh, I need to find a guru, or I need to find a religion, or I need to find my own lineage. Don't try to rush into that. Just try to understand oneself and what you really need, and how much you can actually do with your own capacity. And then on the top of that, some sort of dependency can, can start. But if you start right away with complete dependency, then people can take advantage of you being vulnerable also. Yeah. Dakima Sherpa. Why the negative thoughts comes first in the human mind in the place of positive thoughts? The positive thoughts basically harmless, so we don't witness it and we don't cherish that moment. And then, of course, it seems like there's some negative thoughts. But from the beginning of the time, we have the state of the ignorant, and then it's covered with the ignorant, the state of the clarity. So even the positive thoughts are part of the illusion that we need to overcome eventually. So the positive thoughts is not the absolute solution. Positive projection of thoughts, positive duality is not really the absolute solution. Uh, Absolute solution is to break away from the state of awareness, and to break free from that projection ideas and the idea of the projection, none of that, and then just simply being in a state of knowing. So that is the call, that is the meaning of liberation. Bonjour Buddha. Kung Kam Sans. How can I find steady on my mind? Because I'm kind of fed up with this up and down experience when can realize true nature of my mind. Well, the problem with the recognizing the nature of the mind is that if you have a very strong opinion, uh, Penna Wangsubudia, um, Buddha, that means you're Tibetan, right? So, like an example, um, if you have a very strong opinion, I need to recognize the nature of the mind. If you have a very strong projection of that, then even you have all the method or teachings that you have received, you cannot actually utilize none of that because of your solid mindset. So if your mind is too rigid, even it's positive, it's not necessarily can be the path to recognize the state of the consciousness. So therefore, practicing, you know, the practicing the sense of awareness, a sense of shamatha meditation, vipassana meditation, receiving a teaching, with a secular uh, point of view, not really like, oh, that's my religion and that's my tradition, not really jumping into that conclusion, but rather seeing all the teachings from the different traditions originated from the Buddha, and therefore I must analyze, therefore I must learn, therefore I must, implement to my mind as much as I can within my own capacity, and then try to find some sort of a different instructor. You don't need to call them guru, 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 just find them as an instructor and then receive a little bit of teachings and then a little bit of practice and try to balance that. Don't overwhelm yourself with so much information. So that's it. Namje Momo Delivery. Okay, so seems like you're using your brand company's page. Uh, how much benefit, how much does it gain, like spiritual point of view for oneself when you teach others or having the compassion and heart to others? I think the most important is that you do not view oneself as a teacher, and that's how you help others. The moment you view yourself as a teacher, then basically you're saying that other person's liberation is based on my title and my institutional position. And the moment you view yourself like that, then that means you cannot help yourself, you cannot help others also. So the more you have, I mean, of course, you need to study in the institution. Of course, you need to practice within the institution. But eventually, you need to break away from that idea of I am holding this title. I am this Rinpoche. I am this Buddhist teacher. The more you have this kind of, like, I am this and I am that, the less you are able to help others. The more you have understanding, I am a Buddhist practitioner, a Dharma practitioner, not a perfect being, but rather a Dharma practitioner, and I'm willing to help them, and I will help them, and I want to help continuously them and the people beyond them in the future as well. So, the long as you keep your mindset like that, is good. But the moment you say, I am a Buddhist teacher, I am this, and then you're lost before you even start. So that's it. And for me, teaching others always helps because it's also a self-reflection to myself as a practitioner. So that is beneficial as well. I am 62 years old. What's something simple that I can do every day to prepare for death? I think what you can do is try to practice a meditation. That's very important. Once you practice a meditation, then try to read a Bardo teaching, try to read a Bardo teaching, Bardo turtle, not the one that you find in all these commercial books about the Bardo, but rather a genuine teachings about the Bardo that, when there's a master and instructor, when there's an individual dying or going to be passed away, we read the Bardo turtle. Basically, it's like, the life in Pardo means a life in between. Turtle means hearing liberation. So the hearing liberation, that is a positive, genuine thought. That is good. But it's also good that if you could study and read a little bit by yourself, and then at the same time, you practice a sense of awareness over the time. If you don't have awareness, you cannot liberate yourself from the bardo. And if you don't recognize the nature of the mind, that also cannot help you from the liberation of the bardo. The meaning of the bardo means not recognizing the illusion as illusion and believing that is real and truly real, and that illusion, temporary reality, becomes the cause of the suffering, and that's why we call it the bardo suffering, right? So therefore, you may not have the chance to practice everything, but at least meditation and Bardo practice instruction, at least ask around. Don't try to go on the internet all the time. Just ask around. Have some physical, personal engagement, and then try to receive the teachings about the Bardo Taro. So that's it. And then, in order to make the impact of the Bardo Taro, you have to practice a little bit. It's not a miracle blessing up there and then it fixes everything for you. It doesn't work like that. So yeah. And Jeff Petit, any thoughts on alcoholism, Rinpoche? Alcoholism, my thoughts on alcoholism. Well, alcoholism is something that everybody goes through, and is socially acceptable, and that is the most dangerous part. Like when you smoke tobacco, is socially acceptable. When you drink alcohol, is socially acceptable. I'm not trying to be a traditional Buddhist and say, don't touch the drop of alcohol and you're a bad practitioner. Even I used to have that kind of mindset, but then slowly you engage with your own reality, you engage with other reality, you understand your own suffering, you understand the other person's suffering as a practitioner. So I had my own struggle about understanding and overcoming and so on. So I think that alcoholism is very dangerous because it is something that people celebrate, and it is something people justify, and it has a and it is socially acceptable, uh, and then over the time it becomes a habit. And then when you become an addict, or alcohol addict, and nobody actually cares about it. And it is very dangerous to throw your life away like that, you know. Um, so I think it's very important for people to at least find some sort of moderation, but at the same time, never touch alcohol if you got into a big argument, if you are in a state of depression, if you've gone through a breakup, if you business is not doing good, anything that is negative, just don't touch alcohol. At least that's the first attempt that we should do it. And then, over the time, even as a positivity or celebration mood, then you can also minimize that. The first is to try to minimize the justification when you are going through a difficult time, touching alcohol, drinking alcohol. Just try to minimize that. Start with the moderation, and then slowly over the time, justification when you're challenging, if facing a challenging time and drinking and all that, and just try to minimize it over the time. I think that is very important because there's only one life, we have only one body, you know, and then if you don't look after itself, and then even you have a good medical insurance, it's just so inconvenient for life to lay down in a hospital like that, or to end up in the middle of the street. It's just not. not worth it. Sriwanju, what is the connection between the mindfulness and our spiritual well-being? The mindfulness, it has a different meaning. If you're like an example, like I said to you, the mindfulness event that I just did, it has a different level with their own training. Not necessarily a Buddhist precise training. It has its own purpose. It has its own meaning. So I just don't mix that together. Okay. So when we talk about the Buddhist mindfulness, that means mindfulness of the speech, mindfulness of our mind, mindfulness of our action, and that is the, uh, you know, how to say it, tend to be the attitude. You know, the spiritual our spiritual well-being means generating loving kindness and trying to decrease the self-centered attitude and trying to minimize the fixation and then try to develop loving kindness to others and over the time having the understanding about the genuine compassion because you have conquered the self-fixation over the time. So that's it. Mm, Hello, Rinpoche. Just to let you know, yesterday I had a dream about you. Okay, I hope it was a good dream. Hope you are healthy and happy. Yes, I'm very happy and healthy. I have a question. How to reduce anxiety and depression caused by hormonal imbalance? That I mean, I have some answers, but I don't want to answer here because I'm not a physician, I'm not a doctor. So you might have to, check with the doctors, if you're having a hormone imbalance, So, what are the things that you have to avoid eating in terms of medicines and so on. So I don't want to exaggerate my knowledge, But to reduce the anxiety and the depression, anxiety, is just the word of basically just worried, extreme concern, and the depression. Depression is also, that everybody goes through, and some they may not able to overcome their depression. Like in myself, like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I had a depression. Because you have this idea of life that how your life should be leading and based on other people's opinion. And then you start to think, oh, I'm not going well with my life. You start to think a lot. And then you start to think, oh, maybe it's the Eastern world or maybe it's in the Western world. You try to find some sort of a balance. And so you try to find many things. And so you have the anxiety, you have the depression at the same time. And you never had this time to say that, hey, guys, I need a break. You never had a break because, like for me, I never took any sort of break because I'm traveling or either I'm facing some kind of a difficulties based on my responsibilities. So basically, I never left my time and saying, hey guys, I need to see a therapy and I'm facing a depression, I need to take medicine. I never took any of these kind of time for myself. The way I overcome my depression is to practice more and more and more. And when you practice more and more, you tend to develop the sensitivity and some sort of a sharpness and the sensitivity in your mind, not the sensitivity that is vulnerable. It's a different kind of sensitivity that you tend to develop, and some sort of a sharpness and some sort of very profound awareness. And the more you have that, and then the more you have that, and then no matter whatever the projection that is appearing or reappearing in your mind that is causing depression, you will have a more capacity to look right through it, cut right through it, dissolve it, play with it, make a fun out of it, so you can manage these things. But in order to make all this reality, you need to practice, you need to have some sort of a solitude, not as isolation. There's a difference between isolation, that people put you in the corner of the room, that's the isolation. Solitude comes from being aware of what we consume and how we interact with ourselves, and then how we live our life, and having that awareness. When you have that awareness, you tend to develop some sort of a solitude mindset. As you have a solitude mindset, you seek a spiritual solution, or you practice, you meditate. So they basically try to do some sort of a meditation practice or some sort of a retreat. So if you're going through a depression, try to do some sort of a retreat, and do not try to find a instructor who says, "Oh yeah, I give you a blessing over here. Now everything is fine." Not that kind of an instructor, but rather an instructor who can really guide you and who can listen to you, not because you have some money, not because you look beautiful, not because that you could be advantaged and used for their own purpose or project or whatever that may be. None of that, but rather with out of pure intention, and spending 1 or 2 weeks, in the retreat, not necessarily in the monastery, not necessarily in the center. It can be a good friend who has a little bit of spiritual understanding, you know. So, and then of course you have all the great masters teaching online. You can read, you can listen, and so on, So that's it. Okay, so Denzichera, Denzichera, is it possible to lead the Bardo teaching from you, Rinpoche? That Denzichera, that Bardo, that Bardo getting pa chu share la, tene tangbo tene susu, tes gom tes jagurwa, shine lakton tes gom, tene chik idam gom ya la su, ta idam gom se de kwa su la inji minji tene chik pe la shiwa tang chabo inji minji pe maangbo chik gom goya yo marwa. Kochi Chinese ji gomba ina kochi idam cha de gyori roman ji gomba ina idam cha de gyori ge cheshun de latne idam gomdu kapsula tene semba main wa chen dadi sla gomdu kapsula pe semba kibu tu se dadi yangja gugu tu sen yang tenre yang pe rewa tang tokwa endre main ba ji sla gomdu kapsula ji nga nga ge tene ji nga ge gonda ji nyamba cha ya lü ge gonda nam nam chu de tene sem ge gonda ka komya wada tende chini tendes ita idam lawarta chikchene sirin romare ta tende gom toba ina tene kale kale tene tomo ki nyamne gom chekor tene tomo nyamne jula tene tomo julu melam vesa poa pardo se te pardo nigu chudu ki tene nigu sidikos nigu mas la gyoro wa kandro nigu ma ki chu chu yor se chu na ngas chu chu se wa tene pardo de tene halam tene chö chogi tene tamaan rawa dhiyo legi yorwa. Tene bardo ki chö nyamlin chea la, tene chik susu semba pusu tokbo chine, nga di gugudu sin tene rawa kaya samlu tang dekhen je ina, tene chik bardo ki chö tenma mangbo gazi shio ina kwa chik pen towa yunga yomar. Te semba de maa hlyo goya de gye chimbarwa. Semba de maa hlyo la, tene chik susu semba maayewi kaasula semgi netang kante do, gom jabdu kaasula semgi netang kante do, lung gomdu kapsure, yoga chedu kapsure, tumu gomdu kapsure, julu gi nyamni chedu kapsure, tene melam gi nyamni chedu kapsure, wese gi nyamni chedu kapsure, sem gi netang kante do, rwa. Aondi taksi chegi chegi tene shine tene pardo gi nyamni la, tene lep ne, tene tachik susu gi chu shuwa tang, shuken tang, shiwa chikpo mayon batene ko chik nyamne che logo yorwa di mato tene yang ge chenpo chik re sewa tsangi ko chik lamsa pen tok tu ya yo mari pena yoga dawa ina ko chik ge chenpo chik yinba la kochi laptop gyore la nyamne che to gyore kochi kana kansam che ko ndik do gyore wa ta pardo ki nyamne de la kochi kana ta chi rimbe shin do kochi nyamne ro gore ma to chi lamsan te na pardo gugdu sen ta chi pardo ki ni chue de ni su su ki pe chi lamsan ha go to bya ta pen to to bya chi ranging kochi le to bya yo mare yo penna te ni chira tene chantene pe tenzin chura chana pe trola dedika sula tene samba kibu deku du sene samba tsange tene ko chik samba kibu ransing chagmin do on di in zete maran so ki sem de la tene ta nyumon ba de ma nyong ru ta te sem de la ko chik nyamne che training che ro ten kale kale tene chik pardo ge nyamne sidika sula tene pa chik chue sheba zam mayin ba 수수기 학과에게 레와점 마인바 수수기 냠뇽당 뜨니 코직 지금 마 지금 레와지 최근 레와지 차용도 가슬라트니 신의 냠nen디 라신게 레용교를 마도지게 야니 송한장게 수수 암체파 냠바장게라트니 최 고하다 냠네 레레지나트니 미창마트니 최 냠nen 최고야 민도 창마트니 바지 암조 체타주 지파진 라미 군대 샤시는 딕사로 그 지금 레이 옮기면도 또 완전 단단 모델 드네 위자레 인스타그램 드네 가와 가서 찍 쳐니 망고지 슈되게 열라 찍 셈발라 찍 람산 찍 쳐냠는 지야라 지금 레보드라고 찍 펜토토 그면도 한테 펜마토에 좀선 좋은 라고디 수수하게 드는 찍 쳐냠는 지단데 그거 렘베 진도 들어가야 되겠지 뭐 렘베 진도 들어서 가서야 Permetting chölatni dadi chö kashi gechin bore shas dadi chö kashi gechung jung re shas ya tomen ra shawa na ya dile ping ma ya so chöla tomen shawa na sanji ge song shebe ge chöla dadi kashi gechin bore shas dadi gechung jung re shas oda tende ge ya samu tam te ya chö nyam ni chö lian ping ma oda ti gechin bore shas dadi ngal inchi mi ji go go dos ne ya chö nyam ya ping ma so 대인서 야 다들 이담 게 냠네 차마 제고도 쓴다 차마 제 제제 공급말 대인서 진짜 이담 게 냠네 수도 없을라 지 인지 민지 거지 그래서 그다 직지했다 때는 다 작보다 작 망고지는 샵 망고지 공부해요 말와 이담 수도 없을라 그런지 수수기 셈바 마인자 못니 제토와이나 거지 이담 게 냠네 차도고요리 인터넷 고점도 semge니 진 죽모 몰랐네 진 거지 냠네 못네 제와이나 그치 이단 개념이 그런 식의 차도로와 때 나젤데 반용으로 다 용어 수수게 되는 나게 전부인 산비게 되는 나젤데 용어로 다된 하이 나젤스도 가슬라 양알 하딘 있는데 어디 나젤 삼던 거예요 말 타이 나젤스도 가슬라 셈바 마이와 되는 무트네 준종 투반들라 타이 나젤스 랍겨마도 제 타이 나젤스도 나딜 하이 있으면 데 삼던 와 장게 타이 나젤스 랍겨마 타이 나젤스도 가슬라 셈바 마인 zamchi yawa te nyamne mutune chetu ginge medela te hayi ngaja kasago hayi ngaja getni kachi nyamne ki debu de rangshin ge lebyong ge yawa so I'm so sorry I am speaking in Tibetan a little bit too long so I will go back to the English version so that we can communicate with each other 원 원주 자 엠비체 담세기 된 송로 그런 체스 원주제 당이 담색이 돈다 사마야기 돈이 산행인 제마슈쇼와치로 So what is the question? I'm looking for the question. Tsirinpema Sherpa. Tashtale, right now I'm sick, so please pray for me. I'm from North Sikkim, India. My law is Chilo, right, age 25. Tsirinpema Sherpa. I will make a prayer for you tomorrow. because today I will be traveling. So tomorrow, when I'm back at my home, and I do my daily prayers to my protector, and then at that time I will make a prayer for you. Just don't worry too much about it. Okay? Okay. So, uh, P. Lee, how can I ask you how to forgive yourself? How to forgive yourself from your own wrongdoing? You basically cannot forgive yourself. You cannot, there's no such thing as forgiving yourself or forgiving or forgetting or anything. The most important is that just try to make a progress throughout the time, and that's the way of forgiving yourself. Because the whole point of forgiving yourself is about not willing to make the same mistake again. So, in order to avoid such thing as mistakes or incident that I have to forgive myself and so on, is to maintain a sense of awareness in one mind, and that is the most important. Uh, okay, where is this? Da, da, da. And dear Rinpoche, are there any other books or texts you can recommend that I can focus my learning of the Shampakaju tradition apart from Niguma, Lady of Illusion by Sarah Harding? I cannot yet read Tibetan, but hope to begin learn soon. Thank you. Uh, I think from the Shampakaju tradition you can read Lamrim. Lamrim is written by Taranatha. It's a large volume, a book, and in English it's called The Essence of Ambrosia. So try to read that one because it gives a more Mahayana perspective. Because many of us, when we call ourselves a Tantrayana practitioner, we have absolutely no idea about what is Mahayana and what is Tantrayana. So therefore, having some sort of a general background of the Mahayana perspective, that is taught by him, and I think it will be really, really, really help a lot. And also, it has a method. It's not just a teaching, it has a method to how to do a practice in each short cycle, so that you can train your mind with it. So, if the Essence of Ambrosia, the book is too expensive, because I heard from some people that it's quite expensive. I don't know why the price increase, or so maybe you can ask the Shampakaju, the Shampakaju website, and then ask them that if you could get you know mm, the Essence of Ambrosia for free text, you know, because I do not sell any books, so I'm not here promoting a books for my own income or anything. I do not sell any books. I have only one book, and that I wrote by myself, and that is in a Shampakaju website, which is more like a digital book, so it's free, so I don't mix together with all this Buddhism and business together. So, yeah. Tashtobje, can we get transmission from YouTube recorded? What kind of a transmission are you saying? I do not understand at the moment. Okay, so Chiku Wanchu Wandi, what are the basic components of a healthy thinking in our day-to-day life, and how to transform our thoughts from the negative to positive? So I think the most important, Chiku Wanchu, is that we need to have an understanding that have a clear mindset. You know, Is your aim to seek the absolute enlightenment, or is your aim is to seek the worldly happiness? And both is okay. You don't have to say, "Oh, I'm terrible. I'm seeking only worldly things." No, you don't have to, blame yourself. You can. There's so many, practitioners throughout the history. that who only prioritize the worldly things. And then there's many great masters who only prioritize the ultimate goals and so on. So you can temporarily focus on the worldly well-being and then shift into ultimate goal over the time. So that is a possibility. Many of the master happened like that in the past, and many practitioners as well. So therefore, how to transform our thoughts? In order to get into the idea of transforming, first you have to recognize the projection of thought. If you cannot recognize the projection of thought, you cannot transform anything. So first is that you have to recognize it. And many of the times, whatever the things that we see, or hear somebody criticizing you or praising you, then it comes into your mind, and that projects the reality of what you are influenced. And that's what we call the advertisement. It is to influence your mind. It is to influence your mind that there or this or that particular place has some sort of a solution. And we live in that ad world every time in the social media. When we walk outside, subconsciously there's always an advertisement that is manipulating our mind. It's not necessarily negative or positive. It's just that that's how our reality is perceived based on what we are influenced, and then we have no idea of the projection of thoughts, and then we just whatever the external influence are there, and we project right away into a reality, and that is the problem. So therefore, in order to get into the idea of transforming, you have to recognize what is the projection of thought. So, like an example, you cannot conquer all the emotions at once, but what you can do is you can conquer anger. It's more easier. Anger is more easier to conquer. Aggression is a little bit hard to conquer. And lack of content in the state of mind is more harder to overcome. So all these three is interrelated, but is appear one after another because it is all based one on another. None of that emotion appeared spontaneously by itself. So the state of the ill content is due to the ignorant of oneself. The ignorant is simply the state of mind that is absent from the clarity of mind. Right? So now put that on the side. Projection of thoughts. So when you are perceiving, you see a beautiful person, you see an ugly person, you see something attractive, you see something unattractive, right? So whatever the perception you may have, you're seeing an object, right? A human being or material, you're witnessing that object. At the same time, just next to that object, just next to that object, you have the state of mind where you say, I justify the losing control of myself. I justify that I follow this object. I justify anything in between until I get this object. So that is the attachment, right? So attachment is not a problem, okay? Everybody can have attachment. Like an example, I have an attachment to a Buddha statue. I have an attachment to my, how do I say, mm, to how to say, to certain practice, to certain visualization. So the attachment has a different layer. When you say that I cannot have an attachment, that is basically like you're going up on the tower and they say, I have a wing, I can fly. That's basically what you're saying to yourself, and you cannot. So the attachment has a lot of layer. So there's a certain attachment that is very rigid that we need to solve, and that there's a certain attachment that takes more time, and then there's a certain fixation that has to be dissolved over the time. So it's not like one emotion right there, I can solve it, it's not good, and somebody told me it's not good and it's not good. It's not an object, and that's something we have to ad- accept. So coming back to the state of the emotion. So when you have this, whatever the emotion may be, let's say anger. So when the anger is arise or about to be risen, and then you look at the very sensation of the anger, you do not project the idea of the anger to the person. You do not connect the dot between the anger and to the person. You do not connect the dot between the anger and the object, but you rather see this anger as a singular emotion, you know, that is separated from the object or from that human being. So as you examine that very state of the anger, first you recognize the projection of thoughts. The projection of thought with the sensation of the anger. As you recognize that, without any negative or positive opinion, you just simply look at, the very state of the anger. You do not say that's good anger, or you do not say that's a bad anger. When the anger is risen, right there in that very moment, you look with the very open eyes from your mind, with a very gentle attitude. You just simply look at the anger for a few seconds. And then that anger dissolves by itself. Because the very identity of the anger is because you believe it is there, you know. And also the problem to the solution is that you want to control the anger, and the control does not exist. Anger does not exist, you know. So the solution, the one that appears to be the solution, also is a problem. Problem is a problem. The one that appears to be the solution to control the anger is also a problem, you know. So way to solve it is to look at the anger as it is. You do not say that's good anger, that's bad anger. You do not say, oh, I have a bad karma, good karma. None of that crap. Just simply look. As you look at the anger, the very sensation and the very state of the mind of the anger dissolves and it disintegrates. And then again, due to the cycle of habit, it will come again. Okay? It will come back again, and then each time you do it, same thing. You know? So, but in order to have that awareness, alertness, and that sensitivity in your mind, you need to practice meditation. You need to practice divinity. You need to do accumulation of mantras or visualizing the element or visualizing an object and so on. Anything that you can bring your mind to slow down and to breathe a little bit. Then it can generate the alertness and the positive sensitivity, not the sensitivity with anxiety, not the sensitivity with the vulnerability, but rather a sensitivity with a sense of clarity in mind. Okay, so that's it. So now I'm going to the next question. Okay, so where is the... Okay. Uh, Testele, I have some doubt in the Dilum. I don't know. Can you maybe explain a little bit? Where the most people believe that they die and go to hell and coming back with some kind of message where they say your parents and relatives are suffering in hell. So how far it is true, lah? Um, I think you need to clarify that question about what is meaning of Delum. Could you please, elaborate a little bit so that I can understand how to answer to you? Damjit. Some say Buddha as a master, not a god, but we Bhutanese consideration as a god. So your opinion? My opinion is Buddhism does not have a nation. That's number one. Whether it's a Thai or Bhutan or Nepal or India or Tibet or China, Mongolia, Japan and Korea, or how to say, or Cambodia and Vietnam and Sri Lanka, or it used to be Indonesia before, and Myanmar also. So all these are a Buddhist country, right? Country majority, you know. But the bottom line is the distinction between the so-called idea of the God and the Buddha is um, not a creator. When you say that he or she is a God, you are basically moving into the category saying that God created everything. And the Buddha, as a Buddhist practitioner, we believe as a non-creator. He explained everything as it is, and we follow the truth as it is. So that's it. That's my answer. Oh, stupid. Okay. Michela, semnando meba shebe, junjong, kanda, this. Semnando meba shebe, junjong, kanda shina, sorry. Semnando meba shebe, junjong, tekande. Sem namdo meba siddhi kapsun diri tachik. Sem ngo chudu kapsula da sem ngo chuda wul tachik. Chaja chenpo ngo chudu kapsula tani sem ge namdo mangbo yu debayi na kochik sem chu songarwa. Sem chu na kochik sem ngo chu yu marwa. Tani kasi chu na kasi bena shamba geju kon lama kongwa nungi chik ni song yu di nga pe chik kadi nangi kranzu loma dinti ladde wa. Chu na sem jen res, ma chu na san jen res wa. 만주는 산지를 쓸 거야. 수다든지 수수 셈바 만주나 그치 산지를 되어레스로 셈바 추에는 그치 산지를 말고 셈지를 되어레스 그치 그래서 셈 추스를 거야. 수다든지 남도 그치 그 랑신 그치 드르비오 말에 드르 매바 신들 그치 요레 셈 나와치 샤데들 그치 추스 말와 어디 인센티브 ngā tsōng gōm chādhā chēmbī kī ñamni chē tēn yirāng kī ñamni chē tēn tēn chē tēn chē sūsō kī nām tō tō mā nyō rō tā dī kō rāngshīn kō rē rūp tā tā gē chē shū dī kō chī sūchēm sōng kā yā dī gē chī mbō rē sūchēm sōng tēn chāng shū kī sēm rīmbō chēn gōm chām nīng jē gōm chām sē kī tōng dī chī sām rō pāng tāng rē tēn chū chī shī rā wā chī yō bāi nā kō chī nām tō yā dō kī tōng nē rē 드는지 주념이 야제들 등서 아신 그래 연구로 okay so um okay want you ja chiri tanda de tuwa de tes ma ring dot then sing loya tes tuzu go go okay okay so where is the question okay chu I don't know how to say I don't know how to spell your name okay chu seems like that's your name. Okay. Some people are saying if we have a very kind, a very pure, kind-hearted to others, and that we don't have necessary to pray. No. Is it true? Okay. Loving kindness is a one category, and helping others, uh, helping others has a different category. Like an example, there's a helping others based on the out of necessities, out of materials, and there's a helping others based on the dharma, and there's a helping others by saving their life. So helping others has vast categories, it's a vast, it's a big subject, So therefore, our pure, kind-hearted, loving kindness is something that we need to practice, and as a carrying on as a philosophy, and then the compassion is the ultimate realization, because the true meaning of compassion is a non-self-importance, but rather a genuine kindness. And there's no bad day of compassion. There's no good day of compassion. Every day is a compassionate day. So that's it. Uh, can you explain about the nature of mind, Rigpa? Sim, Magam. Can you explain about the nature of the mind? There's nothing to explain about the nature of the mind, that's the thing. By explaining really doesn't give any kind of solution, because I've been explaining, here and there, but it really doesn't help anybody. It gives them more imagination, more imagination. The more imagination there is, the more far away you are from the recognition to the nature of the mind, because the nature of the mind is a non-duality state. You see? Like an example, when we are visualizing a deity, we are projecting the idea of what we heard. We are projecting that idea to in the front, in ourselves, in our mind. So the nature of the mind is beyond the duality, and it is a state of non-duality. It is absent from any sort of a fixation. Therefore, there's a clarity. You see, and then it is how to say, and then it has a clear state of knowing, and therefore it is absent from all the distraction. That's two. And number three is that empty, and then witnessing the emptiness itself, and all these three combined together, simultaneously experiencing it, is the nature of the mind. Empty, and nothingness is not the nature of the mind. Clearly, only knowing is not the nature of the mind. Simply not being distracted is also not nature of the mind. And then duality state is not the nature of the mind. Nature of the mind is a non-duality state, experiencing and seeing the emptiness beyond the idea of I looking into a certain direction or any form of shape or colors and so on. And then at the same time, continuity of knowing, you know. So continuity of knowing, sense of clarity and emptiness and transparency, all of this experience simultaneously experiencing at once is the nature of the mind. And yeah, so that's it. But then again, you can hear this teaching so many times, it really doesn't solve any problem. At the end, it comes down to the foundation, of your practice. If you have too much ego, saying, I am important, so therefore I require important teaching, if you have that, then you're wrong, So like I was saying in Tibetan language a little bit earlier, I saying, do not put a hierarchy within the Lord Buddha's teaching. Treat all the teachings of the Lord Buddha equally as possible. That's number one. Number two, just because somebody says that is a very important, not necessarily it will really help you in your spiritual growth or spiritual practice. So therefore, you need to have some sort of a Dharma instructor, not necessarily a guru, Dharma instructor who can reflect the truth within you to practice and maintain and keep a secular, how to say, a secular point of view, that you respect all the religion, all the tradition, and you just want to learn based on your capacities and so on. Okay. Oh, okay. We Bhutanese normally say Delum, die and again come back to consciousness and the female ritual performer. You mean like a um little bit like a shaman, right? A little bit like a yeah, female ritual performer may be the right term. Yeah. So okay, I understand now. I think just keep a distance a little bit. I would say I don't want to say it's wrong or right or anything. Just avoid it. You know, there is many experience you can have, but then again, if certain experience can be paid and based on upon the money, just avoid it a little bit. Because the spirituality and all the like okay, like the real um mm, uh, uh, how do you call it, the real shaman, okay, the real shaman who go into some sort of a trance, the real oracle, who has some sort of a connection, they do not do certain things based upon money or social status. They do it out of their own connection to that person. So the moment there's some sort of oracles or fortune tellers that can be brought by money, there's a high chance that you got scammed, regardless of this culture or that culture. So just try to avoid that as much as possible, and especially when it's not, um, especially it has, something to do with consciousness going back and forth and going to hell and coming back from hell and all that. Just try to avoid it. I think it is good, but some people, they just want to feel good about themselves in their miserable times. So, but if yeah, I mean, if you're going in that kind of direction and solution, why not? Go ahead and do it. But I personally, I think, I believe in oracle. I believe in, like people who have some sort of trance and shaman and all these things. Not necessarily I worship them like a refuge, but I believe that all these different phenomena exist. But if it is a individual that can be brought by money or brought by certain things, I like to keep distance. You understand what I mean? So yeah, I don't have an oracle. Yeah. I have my protector, Sukhsam, and his attendant. So I'm happy. I'm not asking anything for more. I've been happy with this kind of connection in my last lifetime and also in my future lifetime and this lifetime, as they are the emanation of our Lokiteshvara. So I'm happy with that. Okay, there's a different tradition who believes in certain oracles and so on. It's not my profession. I'm not professional in that. I'm not expert in that, so I cannot comment in these things. Okay, so let's just come back to what we are doing here. Otherwise, it becomes, too many different subjects. Uh, Stanzen. Uh, how can one draw conclusion of dreams like some good dreams and seeing lamas and sometimes bad dreams which occurs quite often? Stanzen, can I recommend you when I finish my live streaming? Could you please go back on the beginning of this video of the live streaming, and then my answer is over there already. I hope you don't mind about that. Peely. Mm, can I please know how do I know if I find the right guru? Well, the problem with the right guru is that there is no such thing as a right guru, and that is the problem of the modern world, and also in the ancient world. We think that the guru is the object. We think the guru is a little bit like the high market sale, a little bit like a highest brand that you should purchase, that you should get close to. And the higher the name is, the higher the quality. I'm so sorry. Milarepa didn't have any title. His name was just Miller, you know. And the Repa is like clothes. That's it. And look how big he became. He became the equal to the Mahasiddha of India. You look at the Marpa Lotsawa, same thing. You look at the Niguma of the Shambhakaja tradition, same thing. They practice, and then they became enlightened. So we should not say, I need to find a perfect guru. Just practice the Dharma and then have a little bit of open mind. And then you will find a guru. Even you don't find a guru in a human form, you will see everything as a guru, because the meaning of the guru is the meaning of the guru is not necessarily a human form. The meaning of the guru is the one who can reflect the true meaning of truth to oneself. So that is the meaning of the guru. So there's a guru who can give you food and place to stay, and who can support you. And then there's a guru who gives a transmission. There's a guru who can give a nature of the mind teachings. There's so many different categories of guru. Ultimately, the true meaning of guru is to recognize the nature of the mind. So therefore we should not say, I need to find a guru. It's not an object. The most important is you practice Dharma. You should have a very impure vision. Even you are in the front of the Buddha, you cannot see the Buddha. You understand? If you have a pure mind, the pure mind comes from not by accident, but by practice. The more you practice, the more pure mind you become. More clear, logic, reason, not delusional, you know. So the more you have that kind of a sense of foundation, the more openness you have. The more openness you have, the more guru you see it. Whether it's in human form or non-human form. Like an example, it's raining outside, you know, and then a few hours ago it was not raining, and that is the meaning of impermanent, reflecting the meaning of truth. That is also a guru. You rejoice that moment and you meditate a little bit. That is a guru, and that is a blessing. So I'm not making this up. You can read the traditional teachings and you can see for yourself. Are you? Okay. Thomas Müller, dear Rinpoche, how to support your activities? I think way to support my activities, once I finish setting up this website of the Kalu Foundation, then you can support all the different projects, the translation project of the Shambhakaji volumes that we are currently printing, and we are trying to translate in all the different language and make it digital, so that everybody can, practice and receive it. So there's no Buddhist business. And then, like a scholarship sponsor through the Kalu Foundation, there will be a scholarship sponsor in India or in Tibet or in Bhutan or Nepal or China or Mongolia or Japan and some other Buddhist countries, things like that. So yeah, you can, you can support like these projects in the future, which will be in the website. Like all the legal setup is done. So we are in the process of setting up the website so that people can choose the project, the humanitarian project, religious project, cultural project, so then you can donate and support, you know. So yeah. And also there's going to be a project where if people want to do a 3 years retreat, and if people want to do a 3 years retreat and then they don't have the financial needs, they don't have the financial support, and then you can also sponsor and support for that kind of a project individuals so that they can do the 3 years retreat, so the money goes directly to them. Because if you don't have the 3 years retreat, then it's just an empty book and people just moving their mouth. If there's a practitioner in retreat, and that is the fundamental key of the so-called upholding for the next generation. So how long it has been since I started talking? Okay. Danke. Bitteschön. Okay, so one or two questions. So go ahead and ask your question. Okay. Tabajanze, do you think you will come back soon in France? Yes, I will be in France by end of December to do the Mahakala 3 years retreat. Jamso Yunde, etc. Is it necessary to be a monk for a 3 years retreat? No, you don't have to be a monk. Previous government just started in the 1970s in the West, like to put people in the 3 years retreat, and all of them, they are not monk and nun. And they did all 3 years retreat, and nowadays they are teaching, and most of them, they're doing very good. Some of them passed away, but some of them doing good in their way of teachings and others and so on. I have a friend who is interested in Dharma. What is a good starting point can I suggest to them? Just listen to some, His Holiness Dalai Lama's teaching, because Kundu, he gives teaching in different universities, and the way of his giving teaching is very broad, broader mindset, and then also it's a global mindset, it's not just like, oh, I'm this and I'm from this tradition, I'm from that tradition. He doesn't promote his own tradition, he promotes the Buddhism, and then what is good for the humanity. So I think for the beginner to relate to this kind of teachings is meaningful, as well as you can continue to be committed to his teachings. There's no harm in that. That's 5 o'clock. So this will be my last answer. Um, what is the right age to do retreat? There's no such thing as a right age or wrong age, because the idea of the three-year retreat was invented a few hundred years ago. It's not even that old, It's just more organized. Let's put it like this. So therefore, you can do any age. Just try to make sure that you can get used to people, and that's the most important. If you can't get used to people, then again, it's very difficult. Unless you are doing a retreat all by yourself alone, then it's a different thing, you know. So yeah. Oh, and then yes, the announcement that I need to make. So um, during uh, December, the mid-December, just one weekend before the France retreat, um, mid of December in 18, 19, 20, the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we will be doing a Niguma yoga retreat, and you are very much welcome to come and join. And you might have to, I will post the Eventbrite link so you can register, you can check and see. There's some health guideline, there's some also, you know, mm, health guideline to yourself and to others and so on. And then there's also what are the things to avoid in terms of food and what are things to be healthy, just like a few weeks before so that you can be a little bit more flexible. And if you are interested of joining over there, it is not online. It is an actual event that I will be guiding, because like just a few weeks ago, I was in Vancouver and we did this weekend retreat of like in total of 6 days from morning until evening. And then this time we are going to do in London. We did in France in June. So this time it's going to happen in London. And it's a free event and you are very much welcome to join to experience the connection to the body and mind, based on this lady enlightened realization Niguma, which she taught this teaching 1,000 years ago, 1,000 plus years ago. And yeah, you are welcome to participate. And you might have to consider getting a carpet. So, and there's a particular carpet that you need to bring just in case that you don't hurt yourself. And don't worry about your age. Just come and just try to do some kind of a meditation posture. So once we finish this in London, and then slowly we will do it in India as well. In New Delhi, so that all our Tibetan and Indian, Bhutanese and Nepalis, all of us, we can join together and do this kind of practice, so that it is more the promotion to the health and the mind, less to do with the worship, more to do with the health and the body and the mind, and then this yoga, and especially this Niguma, she's an enlightened Indian lady, from Kashmiri, and she is a Buddhist Dakini, so it is a great teaching that she allowed to be public, so since few hundred, after her seventh generation. So we have to cherish it. And the event in India will be also free, so that all of us we can join and practice together. However, I'm not going to teach online anyway. So because if I teach online, then again people will hurt themselves and I cannot see their body shape, I cannot see the posture, So yeah. But I think Delhi will be the good location to do it if we do it, in maybe beginning of next year or mid of next year if we do it, so that you know yeah. Okay, so that's something you have to look forward to all my Dharma brothers and sisters in India and Bhutan and Nepal, and other part of the world, if you want to join over there. So that's going to be the next event after the London. After the London, they're going to be another event, yoga event in Berlin as well. So that's it. Okay. No, it's not going to be put on a YouTube, because if you put on a YouTube, the problem is that everybody thinks that, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that, and then they hurt themselves, you know. Then they say, oh yeah, I learned from him, and now that's how I got hurt, and you know, so then it becomes an issue. That's why I like to guide every individual based on their capacity and train them from step by step. Yeah, so that's it. All right. So I will stop talking, and I have a plane to catch, and make a prayer for my journey, and we can see each other next Sunday. Okay? So have a good evening, and good night, and good day, everybody, and take care, and be safe, and all the best. And touch the leg. Bye bye.